Akeredolu plays APC zoning formula for 10th National Assembly, seeks emergence of independent legislature in Tinubu's government. Security agencies in Ondo State moved to apprehend suspects behind latest Owo shooting, as Ondo State government warns perpetrators of violence. Reprieve for broadcast stations as court stops NBC from imposing fines. And on the foreign scene, former U.S. President Donald Trump to appeal jury's verdict on sexual abuse.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on the news tonight. My name is Timile Falade. Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has expressed concern over the zoning formula of the All Progressives Congress for the leadership positions in the 10th National Assembly. Akeredolu, who described the arrangements as skewed and a reinforcement of injustice and inequality, said the zoning formula is an attempt to buy a few individuals with eyes on Osrc power buttons in Bola Tinubu's administration to cause disunity. The chairman of the Southern Governors Forum, in a statement, said zoning positions of two presiding offices at the National Assembly to the northwest at the detriment of the North Central is tantamount to punishing the North Central for its loyalty to the party. Akeredolu noted that the zoning arrangements by the National Working Committee without the input of a Progressives Governors Forum is a dangerous tool for the opposition, hence unacceptable. The Ondo State Herdsman advised the APC NWC to immediately summon the National Executive Committee, NEC, after robust National Caucus stakeholders rally to agree on terms that would strengthen the great party. In the meantime, the President-elect Bola Tinubu has met with the House of Representatives candidate for Speaker and Deputy Speaker endorsed by the All Progressives Congress. Tinubu met with both Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kalu, endorsed by the ruling party for the House leadership. The joint tax team of the House, Abbas and Kalu, were presented to the President-elect. The All Progressives Congress had on Monday announced the immediate past Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godwin Akpabio, as its consensus candidate for Senate presidency in the 10th Assembly. The ruling party also adopted the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Jibrin Barrow, as the next Deputy Senate President. Now, as the May 29 transition draws near, President-elect Bola Tinubu has left Nigeria for Europe on a working visit. His spokesman, Tunde Rahman, in a statement, said the President-elect would use the opportunity of the trip to fine-tune the transition plans and programs, as well as his policy options with some of his key aides. The statement said during the visit, the President-elect will engage with investors and other key allies with the goal of marketing investment opportunities in the country and his administration's readiness to enable a business-friendly climate. According to him, meetings with multi-sectoral actors in Europe's business community, including manufacturing, agriculture, tech and energy, have been lined up. The Presidential Election Petition Court has adjourned to next Wednesday, May 17, the petition against the President-elect Bola Tinubu by the Labour Party and its presidential candidate Peter Obi. The court took the decision on the request for adjournment by parties to the petition. The counsel to Obi, Levi Uzoko, told the tribunal that further pre-hearing on the petition should be adjourned till a later date as they have pending processes to be filed and served. Mr. Zoku noted that it was a unanimous decision between the petitioner and the respondents, including the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and Tinubu, to adjourn the matter. Counsel to INEC, the APC, and the President-elect and Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima confirmed the agreement. Consequently, the tribunal adjourned the pre-hearing session till May 17 to enable the parties decide on documents that are not in contention and the ones that are controversial. And now to security matters. The Ondo State Security Network Agency, Amotekun Corps, has arrested 2 persons who allegedly disguised as madmen to commit crimes. The duo were paraded alongside 24 other suspects for kidnapping, attempted murder, stealing, and assault committed in different parts of the state. Osrc Sahid Aribisala reports that Amotekun Commander Adetunji Adeleye wants residents to be conscious of suspicious movements and avail same to security agencies.
At first sight, this middle-aged man comes across as a madman. But beyond the looks and unintelligible words, the Ondo State Security Network Agency, Amotekun Corps, has apprehended him for allegedly disguising to gather information and aid criminal activities.
Upon further interrogation, we found out that he was actually reporting movement to some people. But when we try to make him mention the names of those people, he will start coughing. And we are working on the call list now.
Another middle-aged man who allegedly killed his landlord under the pretense of being mad was also arrested. Aside the 2 individuals, 24 other persons were paraded for crimes ranging from kidnapping, attempted murder, burglary, stealing of electric alternator, assault, among others. Amotekun Commander Adetunji Adeleye said one of the suspected kidnapper abducted a businessman in the Mowe axis of Ogun State and allegedly killed the victim.
My gang leader, where is calling Blessing, it is him that said that this man that's coming, say in the sell land for us, he may just arrest him. Along the processing, now within ourselves, now the gun just talk.
The gun just talk.
Now the gun just talk the pay.
The gun just talk and scatter the man.
Yes, sir.
So we are set to hand over the suspect who had been on the wanted list of Ogun State Police to the police command of Ogun State any moment from now.
The security chief said efforts were ongoing to rid the state's forest of criminals.
We also want to let the public know that it's time for them to be wary of those that pretend to be mad people, where on searching these mad people, we find iPhones, expensive phones, and we find out that majority of them only pretend to be mad in order to gather informations in the particular area where they intend to operate. I want the general public to be wary of such, and if they notice unusual movement about, so to say, mad or lunatic people, they should let the security agencies know on time before they carry out their activities.
The Ondo State Security Network Agency, Amotekun Corps, says its ongoing 24-hour patrol of the state will continue while also relying on intelligence from members of the public. From Amotekun's headquarters here in Akure, Sahida Ribisala, Osrc News.
And still on insecurity matters, a 24-year-old male for Lawrence Bisoye has been arraigned by the Chief Magistrate Court Akure on a 4-count charge of unlawful breaking into and entry into the Attorney General of Ondo State's Charles Titiloye Legacy Compound, Oda Road, in Akure, Ondo State Capital. The offense, according to Section 411, subsection 2 of the Criminal Code, Laws of Ondo State, carries life imprisonment if the defendant is found guilty by court. The court, after taking the plea of the defendant, ordered that he should be remanded at the Correctional Center Akure pending issuance of legal advice by the Office of Attorney General of Ondo State and filing of information at the High Court. The Chief Magistrate Court ruled that it has no jurisdiction to entertain bail application of the defendant in view of life imprisonment attached to the offense and the need for police to complete their investigation by apprehending other fleeing suspects who are still at large. The case was thereafter adjourned till 14th June 2023 for mention. We'll take a break on the news tonight. When we come back, Ondo State government reads route acts to commercial drivers over traffic regulations. Do stay with us. To have you back, you're still watching Osrc News at 7. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at Osrc TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV Ondo. Ondo State government will not condone any traffic violation that would affect the safety of commuters. The Governor's Special Task Force, led by Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Special Duties and Strategies, Dr. Doyo Debowale, said the impatience of taxi drivers on the roads and other negligible acts are endangering the lives of residents. Osrc reporter Joy Pius has details.
A middle-aged woman aboard a motorcycle was reportedly knocked down by a moving truck on Tuesday, the 9th of May. According to eyewitnesses' accounts, the carelessness of a commercial driver and passenger alighting from the taxi led to the victim's untimely death.
There's one taxi that parked here yesterday, and the taxi wants to open the door. When the bike is passing, the bike wants to dodge the vehicle, and now there are two bikes. The second one now pushed the second one to that trailer. That's how the accident. That woman now fall under that trailer. That's how the trailer mashed that woman up.
Tàtí ẹ̀ pàṣẹ síwájú mi bàtí tàtí ẹ̀ máa fi sílẹ̀ machine ọlọ́kadà yẹn ti kan ilẹ̀kùn táyé ó yìí tiẹ̀ tó bó ṣe máa yìí tiẹ̀ ọwọ́ tó máa já ẹni tó lè gbé sí ẹ̀yìn ẹni ẹgbẹ́rù ó kó pólíbàgì sí kàtà pólíbàgì àkíyèsí tó mẹ́ta àbí mẹ́rin tó gbé sí tán so táyé pé kò gbé nǹkan ni a rí ọlọ́kadà dì mú apábílẹ̀ kó fọ́ọ̀ sí wà lọ fọ́ọ̀ sí abẹ́ tírélà yẹn so bí tírélà yẹn ṣe mú bí yẹn bó ṣe kú nìyẹn oní tírélà gbòòrò tún wá mọ̀.
To avert a reoccurrence, the Governor's Special Task Force were on Obadeshida Road to ensure compliance of commercial drivers to lay down traffic rules and regulations. This road was designed to decongest traffic occasioned by taxi drivers' disorderly conveyance of passengers. Many of the cab drivers who failed to ply the routes provided for them were apprehended. The Senior Special Assistant to Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu on Special Duties and Strategy, Dr. Doyo Debowale, condemned the attitude of commercial drivers to proper parking when picking and dropping off passengers, adding that many have died as a result of their recklessness. Odebowale assured residents that the Special Task Force will not rest on its oars, calling on all officials in charge of road safety to wake up to their responsibilities.
Because there's this attitude that we see, which seems to suggest that nobody, respects the other person concerning the way the road is used. You find people parking indiscriminately on the road. They just park. then the taxi drivers believe that they can stop at any point, regardless of whoever is coming behind them or whoever is in front. They can drop their passengers at any. I do not continue to be losing people like this. It's unacceptable. We cannot. So what we want to do on our part, I believe that the police formations we have in the state will also be alive to their responsibilities. Want the police to come out. When the traffic wardens should control traffic and not be after arrest for Okada and collecting money from Okada and riders. We are going to receive that.
Condemnation also greeted the impatience of taxi drivers desperate to maximize returns.
Why go to the park? The passenger trying to buy support that ibẹ̀ náà láti tẹ bírèkì wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣílẹ̀kùn. Then tí àwọn passenger náà ní pé nígbà míì wọn ò tiẹ̀ ní sọ fún driver pé kó bá wọn wẹ̀yìn.
Ó yẹ kó lè máa sọ fún kó máa páàkì mọ́lẹ̀ dáadáa kó tó máa já passenger.
Some plate numbers retrieved from defaulting drivers were later handed back to them with a stern warning to desist from the act. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
About 20 newborn have benefited from a distribution of gifts program organized by the Red Cross Society of Nigeria Ondo State Chapter. The move is part of activities lined up to mark this year's Founders Day and to seek humanitarian assistance for the needy. Osrc's Omoshiliola Adesoye now reports.
Every 8th day in the month of May is set aside to celebrate the birth of the founder of Red Cross Society, to honor her and the history of the society. And as part of activities to mark this year's Founders Day, the members of the society in Ondo State visited the State Specialist Hospital Akure, formerly Mother and Child Hospital, to distribute gift items to newborns. According to Branch Secretary of the Red Cross Society of Nigeria in Ondo State, Mr. Oshonawa Rashid, the mission of the society is to alleviate the situation of vulnerable people, including victims of disaster, epidemics, among others.
So we always have a program to do to celebrate the birth of our founder. So either making a special donation to the needy or to the newborn babies, or we create a project so as a landmark for that particular year. So that of this year, so we've decided to come to Mothers and Child Hospital to make donations to the newly born babies.
While calling on well-meaning individuals to support the society in our efforts to put smiles on the faces of the downtrodden, Mr. Oshonawa said the society will continue to comfort the needy.
We make it like a double hand. So we presented gifts to the newly born babies. Then we also use the avenue to raise funds for our own orphanage and vulnerable children's home, situated at Ileoluji Okegbo. So we are expecting the project to kick off any moment from now. So while we are still waiting for funding.
In an interview, the matron of the hospital, Mrs. Akingbade, who appreciated the Red Cross Society of Nigeria for the gesture, also called for more support to the hospital.
I want to appreciate the Red Cross Society. They came to State Specialist Hospital Akure, formerly Mother and Child Hospital, and they gave up to about items of to over 14 people. Our newborns, they gave Pampers, they gave soap and others. We want to use this opportunity to appreciate them. And as Oliver Twist, we want to ask for more. So by this time next year, I will still expect more from them.
Some of the beneficiaries thanked the society for the gift, which they said will go a long way to assist them.
I'm so grateful because I'm not expecting this. I guess they delivered this gift to us. I'm so grateful to you. And I pray that God will continue to strengthen my life.
Some of the gift items distributed include diapers, baby soaps and clothes, as well as toiletries. Omoshiliola Adesoye, Osrc News.
Security forces in Ondo State are intensifying efforts at unraveling yesterday's shooting incident in Owo, which allegedly claimed 3 lives. Police Public Relations Officer Fumilayo Odunlami Omisoya said details on the incident are still sketchy.
Well, let me say this. There was no official report of sort, and we never heard of any cult clash in Owo. However, yesterday night, on a social media group, someone said they've been hearing about killings in Owo, especially relating to cult, but with no other information. The DPO and his men moved around yesterday night, went on patrol and asked around if there was any issue. Everybody kept on claiming they didn't hear anything or see anything. But we keep telling our people, when you see something, say something. If one or two people are saying something like that had happened, and the police is even moving around to ask questions, we need help. Up to this moment, as I'm speaking to you, we've not seen any cops, we've not seen anybody. So we can't actually confirm if there is an issue like that.
Meanwhile, Special Advisor to the Governor on Security Matters, Adetunji Adeleye, restated government's commitments to securing lives and property of Ondo State residents. The public was advised to always avail security agencies with requisite information so as to track down crime while it burns. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has given an order of perpetual injunction restraining the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) from imposing fines on broadcast stations in the country. Justice Omotosho also set aside the 500,000 naira fines imposed on each of the 45 broadcast stations on March 1, 2019. Delivering the judgment, he described NBC's act as being ultra-vires. He also held that NBC, not being a court of law, had no power to impose sanctions as punishments on broadcast stations. While delivering judgment, it stated that the NBC Code, which gives the Commission the power to impose sanctions, is in conflict with Section 6 of the Constitution, which vested judicial power in the court of law. The Nigeria Governors Forum will on May 15 commence an induction program for its incoming and returning governors on key aspects of governance, including ethics, vetting, and recruitment into governor's office to ease the tax of administering their various states. In a statement, the Director, Media and Public Affairs of the NGF, Abdulrazak Bakindo, said the current mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, and two former American governors, Terry McAuliffe of the state of Virginia and O'Malley Martin Joseph of Maryland, will grace the occasion. Also invited to the NGF induction, according to the statement, are former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, Mr. John Pierre Elon Mbasi, the Secretary General of United Cities and Local Governments of Africa, and President William Ruto of Kenya. Guest speaker at the NGF induction is the Governor of Kisumu County in Kenya, Professor Peter Ayam Inyogo. Another batch of Nigerians stranded in war-torn Sudan have arrived the country. The evacuees, 136 in number, arrived in the country this morning, while noting that this is the 11th aircraft that has evacuated Nigerians from Sudan. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says a total of 2,002 Nigerians comprising men, women, children, and pregnant women have so far been evacuated since the war broke out in a North African country. Amnesty International has assured the Senegalese government of state repression as security forces clamp down on growing dissent. It follows opposition leader Ousmane Sonko's call for civil disobedience.
I'm hiding my face because we are scared of what is happening in our country. No one can express themselves freely. Journalists are being locked up and also political figures of the opposition. So what do you think would happen to us?
We have to conduct operations to maintain law and order in order to protect the population. People should be allowed to demonstrate, but people also need to be able to go to work or school without being stopped by demonstrations.
And still on the foreign scene, former U.S. President Donald Trump says he plans to appeal the jury's verdict that found him guilty of sexually abusing a magazine columnist E. John Carroll. After the verdict, Mr. Trump posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, in capital letters, that he had no idea who the woman is.
Absolutely no idea who this woman is. The verdict is a disgrace, a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. Absolutely a shame.
For all the women who have been abused across the country, that this trial is a little step forward towards some justice.
He is officially recognized now as a sexual predator.
And now to sports. The Nigeria Premier Football League NPFL Super 6 competition has been rescheduled for May 23, 2023. The season-ending competition was earlier scheduled to start on May 16, but was postponed due to the backlog of outstanding matches in Group B involving the defending champions Rivers United. The IMC in a statement said the competition will end on Saturday, June 3. The top 3 teams in Group A and B will compete for the NPFL title in the competition. Bendel Insurance are the only teams who have booked their place in the tournament. The first and second place teams in the Super 6 will represent Nigeria in the CAF Champions League next season. The third place team will compete in the CAF Confederations Cup. Before we go tonight, let's remind you that Governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, has flagged the APC zoning formula for the 10th National Assembly by the All Progressives Congress. The governor has called for the emergence of an independent legislature in the president-elect Tinubu's government. We told you that security agencies in Ondo State have moved to apprehend suspects behind the latest Owo shooting as Ondo State government warns perpetrators of violence. We brought to you that reprieve has come the way of broadcast stations as the Federal High Court in Abuja has barred the NBC from imposing fines. And from the foreign scene, you heard that former U.S. President Donald Trump is set to appeal jury's verdict that found him guilty of sexual abuse. And that's the news. Thank you for watching. Good night.